Today, what we are going to be talking about is how we can thrive as empaths. We want to be able to give ourselves what we need so that it can be easier for us to give to others the way that we really want to without draining or debilitating ourselves. An empath is someone who has very heightened sensitivity to their emotions and the emotions of others, point where they're taking on their own emotions or taking on other people's emotions as their own. Okay. Now, the problem that can come with this is that empaths can be highly sensitive and become overwhelmed by the emotions or energies of themselves or others, which can lead to emotional exhaustion and burnout. Okay. So they may struggle to establish healthy boundaries and find themselves constantly taking on the problems and the emotions of other people, which is leading to a lack of self-care or neglect for their own needs. If we are lacking in our own self-care or lacking in prioritizing our own needs, this can lead us to feeling alone. We might feel unsupported because we're putting our needs on the back burner. We may feel too responsible, right? We are too responsible for everything else. So then we feel neglected. We feel unsupported, trying to make everybody else feel okay to try to protect ourselves. But inevitably, that's just putting ourselves on the back burner, which is causing us to exhaust ourselves and leaving us feeling resentful. Most of the women that I work with, and myself included in this, would classify themselves as a highly sensitive empath and want more than anything to help take other people's pain away, their suffering, their hardship. If someone is struggling, whether it's a loved one or a stranger, we just want to be able to give. We want to be able to fix that. And we, especially if we've had experiences where people put that stuff onto us and we made them feel better, right? And so it's like, it becomes this addiction to us, like we've got to do this, or it can become an addiction, or it can become like this internal responsibility to make sure it's happening. So my clients and I have found ourselves in situations where we're crying over things that we can't control, such as like homeless people or hungry citizens, pollution in the earth, or societal violence, discrimination, things that we can't control, right? These things can become debilitating if they are things that we are so worried about, like how can we fix these issues around us, right? And then the world feels really heavy and really scary for us as we're taking it on and we're trying to figure out how we can solve the world problems, right? And then also we have to drop whatever we're doing or push the things that we feel we need back to make sure our family members wouldn't be struggling or disappointed. We said no, or because we weren't available, because we couldn't take it on. If we continue to act on those empathetic impulses without caution and discernment and a plan of balanced prioritization, we will fail. Okay. If we continue down this path of just letting these things take us over, we're not going to move forward. We're not going to be able to thrive. We're not going to be able to create the experience that we want to create, because we'll end up helping people ready for us to have, like they're not ready for our help, which will leave us feeling like we're failing, or we'll feel extremely exhausted. And then, or we'll try to put ourselves out there to a point where we are physically exhausting ourselves and end up burning ourselves out of exhaustion, and our body or our health will start to fail us. So either way, we're not going to win if we're not in control, if we're not in balance. Okay. So we're not going to be able to thrive. We're not going to be able to win if we don't become in control. Okay. So here are some steps that you can take to begin to create that control in the empathetic or the empath's experience. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is be very clear on your boundaries and how your soul wants to experience your own life, and begin practicing saying no to anything that pushes you away from that experience or that vision. So what is important to you? What are your priorities? What are your needs? What are your dreams? What are your goals? You need to be very clear on that. And what are the actions you need to take every day that is going to push you towards them, right? That way, you know what you have time for and what you don't have time for. And then practicing saying no to everything else. Because the truth is, the more you're moving towards the things that are important to you, the more you're helping yourself, which in turn, you're actually helping the world. If you're trying to help everybody, you're helping no one. So I know that it can be hard to prioritize yourself and your needs and your goals, because you start, if you're anything like me or a lot of my clients, guilt comes up. Okay. It's really easy and understandable to feel guilty whenever you're trying to prioritize yourself, especially if you're not used to that, especially if you're used to need to prioritize others or you're not safe, right? However, it's very important to realize and remind yourself that taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's necessary for your own well-being, and it can actually help you be more present and more effective in your relationships or in your actions and efforts with others, in whether it's work or strangers or volunteer. If you're going to actually be able to do something if your needs are met. Okay. So it might be helpful to reframe the idea of I'm putting myself first as to just saying taking care of myself, right? We're not just putting ourselves first in some sort of selfish act of Congress to disappoint or not show up in the world in a way that makes us feel like a bum or self. We're not doing that. We're taking care of ourselves. Okay. So you don't have to tell people, hey, I'm going to put myself first, right? And then make yourself and others feel like you're neglecting them, right? Because that's not the case. You're actually just going to make sure you're prioritizing time to take care of yourself, just as you would to take care of someone you care about, right? Or you would want someone you care about to do for themselves, right? So that's step one. So hopefully you guys are following me. Hopefully this is all making sense. So number 2, identify the resistance in the boundaries that you're putting up for yourself and your soul's desires. Okay. The resistance can be a fear you're having, self-doubt, or programming from your parents or society that's telling you that you're going to be alone, you're going to be a failure, you're going to be an outcast, you're selfish, all the fears, all the doubts, all the stories. This is the resistance. So once you start to try priorities, there's going to be a voice in your head that says, you better stop. You can't do that. Pay attention to that. Get very specific to that part of you that's telling you you can't, or why you can't, or why you shouldn't, right? You've got to become extremely aware of whatever it is that is causing the resistance to go against you. Okay. Make a relationship to this resistance by validating its fears or worries, right? Its fears or worries can be valid, right? I know when I was starting my own business, there were a lot of fears and resistance in going into that route and prioritizing the things I needed to prioritize to make it happen, right? And some of those fears were valid, right? People won't understand. People won't agree with you, this, that, and the other thing, right? Like you're going to teach this in a non-conservative way. People aren't going to accept you or believe in you or whatever. Valid, probably true, right? I needed to be okay with my fears coming to life in certain manners. This might not always be the case, and I won't know unless I'm working with you personally, right? And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity where you can take that chance to do something a little bit more personal. But that's an example that I hope might be helpful, right? Is sometimes your fears are, not sometimes, all of the time, your fears are extremely valid, and you need to validate them. And in order for you, if your fears are, you do them, or you never create a plan of action that's going to help your fear feel safe to move forward, are you going to move forward? No, because your fear is valid. You're not going to survive if you move forward, even though that's not exactly the truth. Am I going to die if someone doesn't agree with what I teach or how I show up on the online space? No. Did it feel like I was going to die and I needed to deal with that in order for me to proceed and move forward with my career? Yes, right? So your fears are valid, but are they extreme, and are they holding you back if you're not working through them? 100%. Okay. So once you build a relationship with that resistance, then obviously what you need to do, once you validate it, you understand it, you're valid in what you're feeling. Now you need that plan. Okay, well, what can I do for myself to make myself feel safe to move forward, right? What can I put in place? What actions can I take to move forward in a way that feels safe for me, right? So I know that this one can be a little hard. This one can be very tricky sometimes, okay? Sometimes you're not going to know what you need immediately. This is where it's going to require your commitment to keep showing up and to keep asking yourself, okay? So healing is a process, and it can be helpful to just start with small steps, and it can be helpful to be okay with continuing to ask yourself and continuing to look for the answer. Another thing is having a mentor in this area that can create that plan, right? Someone you can brainstorm with, someone can come up with things and figure out what feels right for you and your fear, so that you can move forward without trying to logic your way out of it, guess your way out of it, or whatever, or avoid it, right? So that's usually what I see is people are trying to BS their way out of it and fake it till they make it, until they crumble again, or they just avoid it and don't move forward at all, right? They're stuck in it, or they're trying to fake it till they make it, and it's not happening authentically. It's not happening genuinely. They're not doing it in a way that feels good for them. They're doing it in a way that's kind of rejecting them, right? And they're not validating themselves so that they can work with themselves, within themselves, to move forward, right? So having a mentor there can help you do that. Some other things is exploring different self-help resources, or experimenting with different practices that might resonate with you, okay? It's a journey. And you don't have to have the right answers immediately. Let yourself experiment. Let yourself take time to get those answers. Step 3, the final step, or secret 3, right? I said 3 secrets. So secret 1, secret 2, secret 3. This is the third secret, okay? So you want to heal your emotions by identifying your triggers. And the suppressed emotions express themselves fully without judgment. Okay, this is extremely important, because as an empath, if you are absorbing other people's emotions, if you're absorbing other people's crap, okay, what's happening is the only reason, and from my experience as an empath and from teaching my clients, from my experience and what I understand to be true about this part of it, the only reason we're taking it on is because within ourselves, there's something we haven't dealt with. It feels overwhelming, or it feels scary, or it doesn't feel good, is because when we feel that emotion, it doesn't feel good, right? If we're afraid of our own emotions, we'll be afraid of other people's. But if you are not afraid of your emotions, if you are in your emotions and you know how to handle your emotions or be there for your emotions, then what's going to happen is when somebody else is feeling that emotion, you don't take it on as if it's you. You're able to see their emotion for the truth because you see your emotion for the truth. So you're able to do the same. Whatever you're experiencing as an empath is only reflecting your experience with yourself. I know that might be a tough pill to swallow, but it was true for me. It's true for my clients. The only thing, if you are having a hard time experiencing other people's emotions and energy, is because you're having a hard time experiencing your own. Okay. Want to feel overwhelmed when you walk into a room, or whatever the case may be. You identify and heal your suppressed emotions. And how you identify and heal them is bringing awareness to them, right? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it abandonment? What is the emotion? There's a lot of them, I know. But taking the time to get clear on what those emotions are, and one at a time, building a relationship with them, letting them express themselves unapologetically. Let them throw a tantrum, let them scream, let them cry, let them punch and scream, and whatever they've got to do. Literally let them lose their mind. Do this in a safe space. Do this by yourself, right? Make sure you're alone. Make sure you're in a space where you know that you can allow yourself to express yourself. You can do this in many different ways. You can do this through meditation, journaling, art, whatever, music. You can listen to music that makes you feel intentionally, right? Listen to music that makes you feel this way so you can scream. I've done all kinds of things to express an emotion without judgment. Okay, so now there is a fine line. There is a fine line between expressing an emotion because it's overwhelming you and in expressing an emotion intentionally. Okay. When we are expressing an emotion because it's exploding out of us and we literally have no choice, it's not that that's wrong. It's just, if there's a process to it, it's not actually going anywhere. Because what usually happens when this is happening, we end up feeling bad that we've expressed ourselves in that manner, or we've reacted in that manner. So now we're adding guilt and shame to that emotion that wasn't actually acknowledged or dealt with. Intentionally expressing and acknowledging your emotions looks like saying, hey, I feel this way. why do I feel this way, and how to let it out? How can I say, I give myself permission to let it out, let it completely out? Okay. And then moving through and looking for the opportunity behind this emotion. Why, because whereas you may feel bad with your emotions, here's the thing: if you're having a bad experience with one of your emotions, it's likely because you're afraid of it, or you're going off this idea that society says if you feel this emotion, there's something wrong with you. You have this problem, you have this diagnosis, you have this mental disorder, you have whatever, right? Like there's a fear based on, if I feel this, I tell people I'm feeling, I'm going to end up on medication, and I don't want that, or something like that, right? There's a fear that's telling you this emotion is scary, it's bad, it's harmful, it's whatever. But here's the thing: all of our emotions are part of our human experience. They are natural, and you are safe to feel your feelings. Allow yourself to express them. It is sometimes the only way through is through. The only way to gain control of your empathic abilities is to be in control of your own emotions. Because if you feel out of control because of other people's emotions, it's because you're out of control with your own. Okay. If you're having a scary or a hard time or an overwhelming, see other people, being victimized or being traumatized or having a struggle or suffering or whatever, it's because there's suffering, there's trauma, there's something in you that hasn't been acknowledged. And it's telling you like, oh my, it's reminding you of your own sadness, of your own grief, or of your own discomfort. I hope this is making sense. It's reminding you of your own. You haven't worked through it. If you're not sad or discomforted or grieving, then you won't do that for them. If you've found the opportunities within your trauma, with your grief, with your sadness, with your discomfort, if you've found opportunities and you've made friends with those experiences within you, you will start to see from that lens for other people, and you will no longer see them like a victim or like they're suffering or like this. You'll say, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity. And now guess what? You're thriving. You're thriving and you're helping others. You've helped yourself and now you're helping others. I hope this is making sense so far. So this is what I have for you guys, okay? I have a free 15-minute inner healing assessment, okay? And how it works is we're going to get on the phone together. We'll do 3 things. We're going to identify where you are on your healing journey. We're going to identify what your goals are and what you want to achieve. We're going to get clarity on whatever roadblocks are standing in your way of being successful. And my goal on this call is to give you total personal inner healing clarity. This is a no charge and no obligation call. There will be no time for sales. Okay. There will be no time to talk about my programs. There will be no time for any of this. This call is pure value. This call is pure personal value to help you figure out where you need to go and how you can leap forward in the healing process for yourself. It's only 15 minutes. It is only time to give you value, to give you clarity, and to help you move forward. So this call is high achiever. You're ready to create success. You're an action taker. You know you're meant for more, and you're ready to feel unshakable confidence in yourself and your abilities. Okay. So if that's you, I want you to click the link above this video or below this video, wherever the link is, either whatever you're watching this, okay, to book your spot right now. And you'll see a calendar, you'll see available appointment times. Just pick the time that works best for you, and I'll call you at the exact time that you choose. So click the link to secure your spot, because spaces are limited. And I promise you, this will be the best time you've ever spent working on your personal development and self-discovery. So I really hope today's training was good for you guys. It was insightful, it was helpful, and you guys understood it. You guys took something from it. And if you are, like I said, if you're ready for success, you're ready to take action, you know you're meant for more, you're ready to create a new next level experience for yourself, take this opportunity to book your free 15-minute inner healing assessment so we can move you forward. Okay.